Welcome to NFL Week 4. Quick recap from last week, and then we'll go into this week's games. Last week I put 4 plays up on the Patreon. We actually went 1 and 2. I took New England. That was the lone winner last week against the Jets. They won outright. Took Carolina plus 6.5, and man, they look good for a little bit, but Seattle ended up pulling away there. And then took Vegas against Pittsburgh, and Vegas lost. And apparently Josh McDaniels doesn't know how many points a field goal is and how many points a touchdown is, because he decided to kick a field goal twice, attempt a field goal twice, I guess, with when they were down by 8 points. Whatever. And the other game, essentially I just call it like a no contest. I explained this into my videos last season. So these games are all against the spread. The only time I will take money lines are if it's 2.5 or less. Sometimes I'll just take it on the money line. In a situation where, let's say I take a favorite of less than 2.5 and they on the money line and they win, but they don't cover. Again, small chance, but it did happen last week. I get the money line right, but the spread is wrong, so I just don't count that at all. If the other team upsets them, I count that as a loss, and obviously if they cover, I count that as a win. I had New Orleans last week. I took them on the money line. They were a 1.5 point dog, and they obviously lost the game, but they covered the spread last week. So, and again, in that case, if they had, won the game, it's a win. If Green Bay had, covered, it's obviously a loss. But, in a situation where the money line was wrong, but the spread was right, I just throw that game out the window. Again, not going to happen too often. Usually a game's not going to, be less than 3 in that case, but it did happen last week. So a 1 and 2, it's a losing week. We're 6 and 4 on the season. Now we head into week 4. There's a lot of really good matchups this week. Sign up to the Patreon, link in the description. You'll get my official plays for the week. Just some games, heading into the week. So Jets, 9.5 point dogs to the Chiefs. I think a lot of sharp money will come in, obviously, on New York. The public is going to love Kansas City in this game. I don't want any part of Zach Wilson, but that game to me is just a pass. But you could see why that the Jets could be, their defense could keep them close, but they're just a bet-off team. Denver going to Chicago, crazy game last week where they gave up 70. Crazy to me, even crazier to me, that Denver gave up 70 points and they're laying 3 points on the road this week. That tells you how bad Chicago is. And a team that scored 70 points in Miami is actually a 3-point dog this week. So that's pretty interesting. Denver and Chicago, I don't know, stay away. Like, who's going to watch that game? You can't take the Bears. I don't know if you can ever take Denver. So whatever. If you're going to play, I guess you take Denver. Cleveland, Baltimore this week. Cleveland, a 2.5 point favorite. Deshaun Watson, I think, is questionable for this game. Baltimore seems to do well as an underdog in a division game. It wouldn't surprise me if they won, but Cleveland's defense looks elite, one of the best defenses in the league. So, if you're going to play that game, I think you would take the Browns, but it could just be a stay-away game. I think that game's going to be very, very tight. Cincinnati at Tennessee, 1.5 point favorite for Cincinnati. Tough game. Cincinnati should win. I don't think Tennessee is a good team at all, but I think you'll get a lot of sharp money in Tennessee. Wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee pulled an upset, small upset, but again, stay away. I can't really trust Cincy right now. We have to see how their season plays out. And Tennessee, you can't put money on Tennessee. What other games? Rams and Colts. I like the Rams. It's essentially a pick-'em game, 1 point either way, depending on where you're looking for the spread. The Rams' big issue, I watched their game last week as a Rams fan against the Bengals. Their issue is clearly on the lines. Not so much defensive line, their offensive line, and they can't run the ball. They're skilled in every position. Their defense looked good this year. Their receiving core is looking good, even without Cooper Kupp, who will probably be out at least another week. But they have no offensive line. Stafford's constantly under pressure. He doesn't do well under pressure. And they have no running game. So they're not a balanced offense, and they're not a very deep team. They don't have a lot of depth. But skill-wise, they're a lot better than Indianapolis. Richardson should be back at quarterback for the Colts this week after a big win last week with their backup Minshew win against Baltimore. I think the Rams are just, the Colts, where they have the big advantage is obviously on the lines. They're better in the trenches than the Rams. But but the Rams have more talent. I think if the Rams at least can somewhat protect Stafford, I think they'll be able to score some points and get the win in that game. New Orleans and Tampa this week. New Orleans is at home, about a 3-point favorite. Jameis Winston probably going to get the start. And by the way, I think last week, if Derek Carr didn't get injured, the Saints are going to beat the Packers. We saw who the Packers truly were this past Thursday. Not a great football team. New Orleans against Tampa, I think the Saints are worth a look, but tough game to get involved in. Carolina, money is coming in on Minnesota this week. They're on the road, 3.5 point favorite to Carolina. Carolina's tough. They got a good defense, but quarterback situation, Young could be coming back. That's a tough game to bet. Money is coming in on Minnesota. Miami and Buffalo minus 2.5. Guys, this is my pick of the year. I don't usually do this. This is my pick of the year. So here's the deal. If Buffalo wins and covers the 2.5 point spread, you guys got to sign up to the Patreon, at least give it a shot for a couple of months. If Miami wins the game, hit the unsubscribe button. All right, there's my play of the year. We'll see what happens. You never know what's going to happen, but I love Buffalo. And this is before I even found out that there's a sharp square divide. Public will be on Miami. Obviously, they're 3-0. They look great, whatever. Sharp money's coming in on Buffalo. But even before that, that was the play that I saw early in the week that I loved. Taking the Bills minus 2.5. Sign up to the Patreon if they win. If Miami wins and you lose that bet, you can hit unsubscribe. Maybe, don't actually hit it, but that's the deal. I'll hold up my end, just unsubscribe if Miami wins. I like the Bills minus 2.5. Play of the year right there. Cowboys at home, 5.5, 6.5, depending where you're looking to the Patriots. I like Dallas. They looked bad last week. If they won last week, I probably wouldn't be on Dallas this week, and the spread would probably be over 7. But they lost. And every good team, I think Dallas is still a good team, has these games at some point during the season. I think this is a get-right spot for Dallas. New England is not great. We were on them last week, but they play the Jets. They always beat the Jets. New England has a good defense, but they have no offense. And last week, their offense did not look good. Once again, they went up against a very good Jets defense, but the Cowboys also have a really good defense. It's not going to get any easier for Mac Jones this week going up against Parsons and that crew. I think New England will have trouble moving the ball, trouble scoring points, and Dallas's offense is obviously miles better than New York's offense. I think under a touchdown, it's kind of a steal. The fact that it's a great spot for Dallas, they lost last week, get right spot. New England obviously has a huge advantage in the coaching matchup, but I think Dallas is too loaded at every position. I don't know how New England keeps up. I see this around like a 27-17 type of game for Dallas. They cover the spread. I like the Cowboys. I think that's it, guys, for this week. I just want to run through a few games that kind of caught my eye. Like, subscribe, comment, join the Patreon. Go Bills. Go Bills.